This is the first of a collection of videos about flying in Australia with our Mooney. In each video, I will try to cover different aspects we found interesting when we were flying down there. Compared to many of the countries we crossed to reach the land down under, flying there is much like in other Western countries. However, a few things may be different from what most pilots are used to from flying in Europe or the US, and of course there's a lot to discover in Oz. As you can see, our route took us from Darwin into the Red Centre, then up north again to Queensland's coast, followed by a clockwise circle around the country including Tasmania. Broome was our last stop in Australia. From there we flew to Surabaya in Indonesia and started the long flight home. I will talk about rules, flight planning, weather and IFR flying, scenic flights to Australia's tourist icons, radio communication, and of course I hope to show some great landscapes and airports. As you might know, we are based in Germany, which is far away from Australia. If you are wondering how we got our Mooney to Australia from Germany and haven't seen the video series Down to Oz, check it out.
November 228 Romeo Mike, runway 18, clear for takeoff.
18 clear takeoff, November 228 Romeo Mike.
This video deals with VFR flying and some general rules to follow. The most important bureaucratic hurdle is the Aviation Security Identification Card, short ASIC. You are required to have this card displayed at all security-controlled aerodromes, which most are. To get it, a background check has to be performed, and we initiated this well in advance. CASA, the Australian Civil Aviation Authority, has outsourced this process to several private outfits you can choose from. We got in contact with these agencies months in advance, but it turned out to be difficult for them to understand our case. Most other pilots apparently want to rent Australian registered planes and therefore need a validation of their license. It was hard to explain that we needed an ASIC, but no validation. Anyway, after a lot of back and forth, we found an agency that was able to help us. They did the background check before we arrived in Australia. However, they would only print the card after an identity check was done on Australian ground. This could be done with one of their partners, which was an FBO at Darwin Airport. We did the identity check immediately after arrival. We managed to shorten the printing process from 3 days to 1, but still the card would have to be sent to us by mail. The issuing company is based near Sydney, while we were in the Northern Territory, and unfortunately we learned that even express shipment from Sydney to Darwin takes 4 working days. Exactly 1 week later, the card arrived and we set off for our Australian flying adventure right away. Here we are on our first flight, leaving Darwin for Delhi waters.
November 228 Romeo Mike, identification control service command, frequency change approved.
November 228 Romeo Mike, frequency change approved.
Another difference to most countries in Europe and the US concerns filing flight plans for VFR flights. A flight plan filed before takeoff is not required for domestic VFR flights in most European countries and in the USA. It does not make a difference if the airport is controlled or not. In Australia, at controlled aerodromes, you are expected to file a flight plan and contact delivery where it's provided for the VFR clearance before calling ground for taxi. We learned this in Cairns, where we were not even allowed to depart on a 15-minute flight to Mareeba without a flight plan filed before first contact with ATC.
Cairns delivery, good morning, November 228 Romeo Mike.
November 228 Romeo Mike, Cairns delivery.
November 228 Romeo Mike, Mooney General Aviation Parking, VFR flight to Mareeba, along the western VFR corridor to the south. Request clearance.
November 228 Romeo Mike, Roger, you'll need to submit a flight plan to be able to depart Cairns.
November 228 Romeo Mike, flight plan from Cairns to Mareeba.
November 228 Romeo Mike, Roger, you'll need to submit a flight plan through NAPES.
November 228 Romeo Mike, can we do the flight plan via the radio?
November 228 Romeo Mike, negative, stand by.
Stand by, Romeo Mike.
November 228 Romeo Mike, do you have access to a phone or a computer?
November 228 Romeo Mike, of course we do, but we are already in the plane with the engine running. I'd like to do it via the radio, possible.
November 228 Romeo Mike, due to the logistics of entering a flight plan from here, it's actually faster if you do it yourself via NAPES, November Alpha India Papa. It's an online system.
Okay, we'll submit the flight plan, Romeo Mike.
Headsets off.
Ten minutes later, with the flight plan on file, we got our clearance and enjoyed a beautiful hop over the mountains to Mareeba. For flights from or to non-controlled aerodromes, a flight plan is not mandated, but it is recommended to use the online filing system NAPES to file a SAR time. That means you provide departure and destination airport and a time by which search and rescue should be triggered unless you have cancelled the SAR time. Cancelling can either be done online or via the phone. Uncontrolled aerodromes usually don't have a staffed ground radio station, so all intentions and positions are communicated on the published frequency from aircraft to aircraft, or as these airfields see little traffic, into the void. Here we are approaching Winton, a small town in Queensland's outback. We did the first transmission when 10 miles out.
Winton traffic, November 228 Romeo Mike, Mooney 20 miles southwest of the field, descending for landing Winton.
Winton Airport.
As there is no one else flying, the next report is when we overfly the field.
Winton traffic, November 228 Romeo Mike, Mooney overflying the field, 1,600 feet for landing Winton.
Winton Airport.
We check the windsock, decide which runway to use and report the respective segments of the pattern for that runway.
Winton traffic, Mooney 228 Romeo Mike, left downwind, runway 32 Winton. Winton traffic, Mooney 228 Romeo Mike, turning final, runway 32 Winton.
Winton is a rather sleepy place, but it's famous for the fact that the song Waltzing Matilda was first performed here in the North Gregory Hotel. We spent a night at this lovely old establishment.
$70, $50, $20, $10, $5, $2, $1.
In these remote places, you will rather see kangaroos than people. Now let's have a look at the airspace structure in Australia. The upper limit of uncontrolled airspace Gulf is generally flight level 125, but we never had to climb that high while we flew domestically. There are layers of controlled airspace, Echo Delta, Charlie around terminals, but this is no different from what most pilots are used to. ATC was always friendly and helpful when we had to deal with them. In contrast to Europe, they offer US-style flight following for VFR flights as long as they have you on the radar. Otherwise, procedures and radio phraseology is closer to Europe than to the US.
Busselton traffic, Star 900, Airbus A320. Now 17 miles to the southeast. On descent passing 9,600. We're tracking for a 10-mile final. The RMP runway 03. The 5-mile final Busselton.
One remarkable difference to the US as well as to many parts of Europe is that instrument approaches into uncontrolled airports are completely in airspace Gulf. Therefore, it's aircraft-to-aircraft communication not only in the pattern or close to it, but well before that.
Busselton traffic, November 228 Romeo Mike, Mooney 20 miles southwest of the field, 2,200 feet. Estimated circuit time 0232 Busselton.
Bravo X-ray Kilo is now 10 miles to the south of the field, tracking southbound. Star 900, Bravo X-ray Kilo, we've got you sighted, we're well below you. We should be at your 3 o'clock low. Just Star 900, copy. We require you, company procedures, to be further away. Are you at least 10 miles west of the centre line? Away from the aerodrome reference point? Roger that, we are now 4 miles south of the field at 1,000. Is that enough for you guys? Negative. The approach begins about 14 miles to the south of the field, so we'll need a little bit more room, and we'll let you know once we're established on final. You can come back in behind us. Roger that. We'll keep tracking southbound then. Cool. So what distance do you want? If you can remain 5 miles west of the centre line, and it's an extended centre line, that'd be great. We'll keep tracking west then. Thanks, mate.
Busselton traffic, Mooney 228 Romeo Mike, so we will stay at least 10 miles west of the field.
Traffic just on 900. 13 miles to the southeast on descent passing 3,700. Commencing the approach runway 03. We'll report 5-mile final. Busselton. Just 900 Bravo X-ray Kilos, just holding over Margaret River at 1,000. Are you happy for us to start tracking to the east again shortly? AFM, we're now 5-mile final, runway 03 on descent passing 2,200, just 900. Roger that, thank you. Thanks for your help.
Busselton traffic, Mooney 228 Romeo Mike. Behind the Jetstar, we will join a 3-mile final runway 03, Busselton.
Busselton traffic, Jetstar 900, backtrack runway 03, vacating via Charlie to the bay, Busselton. Oh, you see? Yeah.
Busselton traffic, Mooney 228 Romeo Mike, turning 3-mile final runway 03, traffic on runway inside Busselton. Busselton traffic, Mooney 228 Romeo Mike, vacating runway 03 via Charlie, Busselton.
So let's wrap this video up. Taking into account the rules and differences mentioned, VFR flying in Oz is an outstanding experience. Landscapes are unique, ATC is friendly and flexible, and all big cities and tourist sites have at least one convenient GA airport nearby. But what stands out the most are the people. We encountered an overwhelming welcome and hospitality. Like Europe with MPOA, Australia has a Mooney Owners Association called AMPA. Of course, we contacted them before we arrived down under. It turned out that Aussie Mooney owners even managed to beat the friendliness and the hospitality we received in other parts of the world. We got invited by an overwhelming number of pilots around the country. Thanks again to all our Oz friends. You made this trip so special for us.